Magandang gabi Filipinas. Welcome to Japanese Shoe Channel. Today, I'm going to react to how Filipino-Americans became super rich. Oh, what's happened to Filipino in America? Okay, let's watch this in what is going on in the US. But before watching the video, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to push the notification bell to not to miss my future videos. If you like the video, please share it to your friends and family members. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go!
When the U.S. Census Bureau released the American Community Survey in 2019, they found a very interesting feat among its median household income amongst its population. Filipino-Americans emerged to become the second highest earners amongst every Asian American race
really?
around the nation of the United States, registering incomes of about 100,000 US dollars, a figure that almost doubles that of white Americans, whereas they had only $65,000 in median household income. The same data has shown that they are far ahead of all other races, whether they are Chinese American, Japanese American, and so on. They are only behind Indian Americans, which stand as the highest group in the study the U.S. Census Bureau had done so far. In all honesty, this has been quite a shocking figure. Filipinos, compared to other race groups, often come from nations with lower economic levels compared to their counterpart races, with less access to better education. Yet they have strived to come out on top, to become such a figure among Asian Americans. So how could Filipino-Americans become such a leading figure in the world's richest nation? How did they even triumph over the largest population group, which is white Americans? Well, to answer all these, we must first take a look back at history. What drove Filipinos to sail and fly towards the United States, and how they fought through difficulties to arrive at where they sit today. Around the 16th century, Asians, particularly Filipino sailors, emerged as the first ever Asians to have arrived and immigrated to the United States. One that is to many quite shocking, as documents or historians alike tend to debate upon. Yet the oldest documentation found that these Filipinos had arrived around the October of 1587 and had an official permanent migration in 1763. This surpasses all other documentation of any other Asians having been found to arrive in North America. This wave of immigration, as they call it, had consistently then emerged since the official documentation that has been found. More so, however, the largest and most significant that enlarged the community of Filipinos in America had been done in the 20th century. This was the time when the Philippines was a territory of the United States, and Filipinos were not restricted from immigration to the U.S. as indicated by the Immigration Act of 1917. This initiative, done by the United States, had been seen as an opportunity, on the other hand, by Filipinos, as it was well thought out that they could earn far more and be able to provide better monetary means to their family back in the Philippines had they worked in the U.S. Hence, Filipino-Americans had grown in numbers, from having a tiny population of only 400 to over 5,600 in the 1920s. Then, the coming decade saw its immigration rise to over 45,000. With such a wave of immigrants, the U.S. government had to slow down these numbers. By the 1960s, they had changed their policies with immigration reform, and after that, immigration had slowed, as only skilled professionals were, in most cases, allowed to go to the country. There had been, however, exceptions to this rule, as some Filipinos who had served in the Second World War were allowed to become U.S. citizens, which then further increased the Filipino-American population to greater heights, posing them as one of the largest Asian groups in the United States. Lastly, after these great immigration waves, there still stands one more, which is the current wave we are at. After the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which gave the option to have family reunification by providing visas to Filipinos or other groups to invite their families to the U.S. This wave enabled the Filipinos to become the largest source of legal immigrants to the United States from Asia. The majority of them were known to be Filipino nurses and had helped reduce reduce the shortages in medical fields. This trend in Filipinos in the medical studies as immigrants would rise and become one of the most important factors to the U.S. as they would become one of the largest groups working in the field. Today, there are approximately 4.2 million Filipinos in the U.S., either through their ancestry or recent immigrants. The majority of them today now are regarded as skilled people. This imposes the question we needed answers for. It is because around the 1930s to 1960s, with the immigration reform, the U.S. had only allowed skilled laborers. Hence, this helped push that selective groups of people who can actually perform for the United States country. Hence, one of the many reasons why Filipinos have become so rich is that they were selective people. Selective people who are amongst the top of the ladder in the Philippines population were doctors, nurses, engineers, and so on. This is one of the reasons why we presumably think that there had been a lack of professional people in the country, as they had left the mainland to seek better opportunities. For that matter, on the other hand, is an entirely different thing, as it is also noted that these immigrants had been one of the backbones of growth for the country of the Philippines, done through remittance, which has been averaging over $30 to $35 billion annually, which is around 10% of the total nominal gross domestic product of the Philippines. Further, Filipinos are known to be hooked into the medical field, commonly nurses. This is again one of the reasons why they are being paid so high, as medical professionals also on average in the U.S. earn a lot more than any other profession. Another reason is that another population group had also influenced its overall income standing, which was soldier immigrants. Army officers back in those days had given offspring to newly born Filipino-Americans who had emerged to follow the paths of their parents or grandparents and hence paved the way for Filipinos serving in the United States Army. Some of them bring their medical expertise with them, hence paving the way for a higher wage earning group. Finally, we also cannot disregard the fact that the first and foremost reasons why Filipinos arrived in the U.S. This is likewise as we presumably thought had occurred as well for Indian Americans, because they came to the world's largest economy to pursue better dreams and opportunities to help back their mainland, either that direct to their nation or their family. With such a higher purpose of living, unlike other Asian groups who may not need to do so as their family is well enough knit provided by their strong economies in Asia, Filipinos do not seem to have the same opportunity. But data might be segregated, as most of the reasons argued by historians are that they really are affected by these selective immigrants. Only those who have proper education have been allowed to enter, and more than likely their offspring were forced to pursue higher goals as their parents had. Filipino-Americans have truly, in many ways, given their status on the world stage as profound people. Yet, as we noted earlier, it has also become an issue back in their home country. The Philippines at times are even struggling as it battles out numerous shortages, one particular in the medical field. This has been a huge problem during the medical crisis over the past 2 years, yet as data suggests, the Philippines is the world's #1 outsourcing of medical professionals. So even after being a medical-rich country, there was nobody back home that was working to provide the nation a helping hand. Moreover, there are also more issues and problems, even probably huge losses of opportunities had the Philippines retained its top talents in the national lands. Having over 4.3 million people in the U.S. alone can also mean that millions of talents are now gone, leaving the Philippines battling out its issues, such as the unemployment rate, which is seen as amongst the highest in Asia. The conversation about its remittance economy could be positive, but its negatives would more than likely outweigh whatever economy they provide back in the Philippines. After all, if they were capable people to become the second richest Asian American group in the U.S., they could have done more for their Philippines. Then again, however, it would also be difficult to say had they stayed, as the nation lacks the proper infrastructure, proper education, and proper opportunities to provide for these dream-hungry people. So it would at most be very difficult, or even impossible, to imagine different scenarios had we wanted the other way around. What matters, however, is that the Philippines today is doing its best to lure back its overseas Filipino workers by providing incentives such as business capital loans and more. One such is the Balic Scientist Program, which entices technological, engineering, or science human capital
science,
to go
technology,
back and help reverse the effect of
technologist.
brain drain, which has been one of the key issues the government has been trying to fix in recent years. With all that said and done, however, what do you think about Filipino-Americans? Let us know down below.
Yeah, so yeah. That's problem. So how say good, skilled, well skilled person go to abroad and they're earning a lot with high skill, but just a few people, skilled people, remained in the Philippines. Yeah, I hope this kind of situation solved soon. Like Philippines developed some technological field to someone who went to overseas and lures them to go back to their home country. And then Philippines become much better than now, I think. Okay, today's video is it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Push the notification bell to not to miss my future videos. If you like the video, please share it to your friends and family members. And don't forget to put the comments below. Thanks for a lot of comments. Okay, see you again. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.